So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Patrick, a dear friend of mine and practitioner actually in information management for the past 20 years. He is currently working in CSN, and he has been the chairman last year, and he has the pleasure to open it once again. Patrick, let's go.
Thanks, Goran. Now we're 5 minutes behind, so it will be supersonic.
So it's a good start.
It's a good start. It's a pleasure to be here again. This is the second year in a row. I'm a chairman for this conference. And last night, when I flew in here to Stockholm, looking forward to going to bed, big bed without kids, sleeping, and I woke up 1 o'clock in the morning. And there are a huge party, banging doors, and so I was frustrated. And around 4 o'clock, I couldn't stand it anymore. So I knocked the door and told them I thought they were really immature. And that's actually something immature. When it comes to last year, I was talking about information as an immature asset. And today, I will keep talking about that, but I will also talk about signals of an emerging asset. So let us start with a recap from last year. Where were we? I asked the audience if they thought information is an asset. And I will ask you the same question today. Please raise your hand if you think information is an asset. Yeah, most of you. And I think we're biased anyway in this room. But I would answer yes and no to that question. And yes, because it fulfills most of the asset criteria. Like we can trade it, we can sell it, we can make money of it in different type of ways, we can monetize it, make cost efficiencies, and competitive advantage in different type of ways. So it's a clear yes. But it's still a small no when it comes to accounting. It's still not a valid asset according to accounting part. You can't find it anywhere on the balance sheet. And why is it like that? 2017. I think the models and theories we've been using for a long time when it comes to accounting, they are actually 100 years old, but maybe updated last decades or something like that. But they haven't been updated for the world we're living in right now. So we can't cope with the current change, the speed of change that we actually can see right now. I know it's a little bit of a cliche that we are living in a fast-changing world, but that's the truth. And so I think they're actually not updated to the information world we're living in. Maybe we could say they're not valid according to the information world. And Bernard Marr, frequent writer, he wrote an article in Forbes that I think is spot on actually what it's about. Accounting standards have not caught up with the digital age. And that is spot on. And we can see this in many different areas as well. I was listening to Alexander Bard for a couple of months ago. He was talking about the school system here in Sweden as an outdated school system based from the medieval time, he said, or something like that. And it's actually not suitable for the world we're living in right now. And we can see it everywhere. But we keep talking about information as an asset. And we can hear every day all those thought leaders within the area, IBM, Accenture, Gartner, and so on, to talk about data as the new oil. You heard it before. Or even the new soil, which is jord på svenska. And let us compare it with other types of assets to check what type of maturity we have in information. Financial assets, we've been doing that for a long, long time. It's very clear regulated, documented, measured, monitored, standards, ownership, clear governance and planning. It's even illegal not to do it. We know that. It's natural for us. Even when it comes to organization technology, they are much more mature than information. If you look at how to measure information, we're clearly lacking in standards how to measuring the value of information in a common way. Even when it comes to ownership and governance, I think you all know how difficult it is to implement it. So it is still an immature asset, even if a lot of things happening right now because of the GDPR and so on. So let us look for some signals for an emerging asset. Because we know that information has a value. If we look at mergers and acquisitions, for example, we know that Microsoft bought LinkedIn for a couple of years ago. They paid $26 billion for it. It's a lot of money. And they bought a company worth $4 billion according to their assets, including intangibles. And many analysts think that a huge part of that value is a slight difference in between the numbers, as you can see. So a huge part of that is actually the value of information that they're buying. So it is having a clear value. We can also look for this type of values in the SP 500. In the end of 60s, we had roughly around 90% tangible values in the companies. Today, it's the opposite. 90% of the assets in these companies are actually of type of intangible values. And according to analysts, this is a huge part of that is probably value of information as well. We can look at from a competition perspective. And we can clearly see that many new companies and startups, they are based upon new business models that are actually based upon information. So one of the key resources in those business models is actually information, data. And that's the company we are competing with, truly data-driven companies. You can see the weird-looking horse there. It's a unicorn, and a symbol for a list of privately held companies for $1 billion or more. They're extremely heavy in intangible assets, and most of them, you can't even find the value of the information, but because it will turn up when someone buys them on the balance sheet, on the intangibles, goodwill. You can't find it anywhere else. Another area where we need to put attention to information management and how to manage it as an asset is the growth of the expanding data universe. It grows really rapidly. Current speed is it's doubling every second year as it is right now, according to EMC. And 2010, somewhere here, we had roughly 1 zettabyte of data. And today, I don't know exactly where we are, but they think in 2020 we will have around 44 zettabytes. It's a huge expansion. This will require 50 times more data management than 2010. 50 times. That's a lot of work. So you shouldn't be afraid of your jobs, I think. Another area to look into as a driver to start managing the information as an asset is the impact of the emerging AI. You have heard it the last couple of years. AI is coming. It's already here, actually. You know these levels of analytics. You've seen it many times before. Descriptive, what happened, look in the mirror. To predictive, what will happen. To prescriptive, what should happen. What do we want to happen, which is the more advanced analytics. I'm not going into this because I think you know them already. So let us look at the prescriptive part. What I would like to highlight here is actually the impact of AI that will make this happen. You can see it, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and so forth. AI will make prescriptive analytics happen. And AI will not be rule-driven as the old expert systems. It will be data-driven. It is data-driven, and it consumes and generates vast amount of data. Actually, data management is a prerequisite for AI. So it will have a huge impact in our area. So let us look for some emerging established trends. I took some of the hype curves from Gartner and looked at Forrester and some other analyst companies. I annotate them on each other to find different type of trends impacting our area. It's a lot of things, so I'm not going into all of these. I will just highlight some of them that I think will have a huge impact, especially here if you look at the hype side, which is the most fun part. You can clearly see we have artificial general intelligence. A lot of these things actually belongs to what we call AI. So AI will have a huge impact the next coming year. So let us look into that a little bit deeper. So what can we expect from AI? And when we talk about AI, it's a different type of, we usually talk about 3 levels: narrow AI, general AI, and super intelligence. So let's start look at narrow AI. What can we expect from that? In this phase, a lot of work will be on making data fit for purpose, meaning machine learning. We need literally feed AI with the right data. It's really important. And it'll be supervised machine learning. We need to sit with it, learn it. And we can probably expect some enhancement of the information value chain, from extracting data, transforming data, to cleanse data, to analyze data, visualize data, and so forth. We can see bits and pieces where AI will enhance those parts for us. You can see it already in some of the stacks from the vendors, but I think in the next 5 years, you will see a lot of these things actually coming up from the vendor side. And hopefully we'll hear some of the topics around that from the vendor side today. We'll be focused on data volumes, a lot of data, king and queens, like Facebook, Google, and so on. A lot of focus on models and lineage and competence, because we still doesn't trust AI in this perspective. So lineage and traceability is really important. When we look at the next level, general AI, where AI reaches human intelligence, that type of level, we can probably see maybe AI could handle the whole information value chain. So I can ask a question to AI, and we'll get out, retrieve data, it will transform it, cleanse it, analyze it, visualize it, maybe taking a decision for me, whatever, when I'm walking here in Stockholm. It will feed itself with the right data. It will know what the right data is. And it's non-supervised. It will teach itself. And maybe we'll see a shift here, focusing on result and trust. And that's something very different compared with this part. For some industries, maybe it's good enough to look at the result because it's getting better and better and better, so the lineage is not that important. But, for example, in some industries, it will still be important, like in pharma and so on. Still high pressure and competence to get the right resources to the companies, knowing AI. And then we have the data availability, really important since we need access to data to use it. And we probably expect some regulation around this, because now it's starting to get a little bit dangerous. And the next level of this is what we call superintelligence, and God bless us all. I'm not going into that. So let us look at some of the key drivers. I talked about some of them already, like AI and the competition and new business models. The build upon data is a natural part of the new business models. We have the data volumes expanding all the time, especially if you look at Internet of Things and digitalization, big drivers for that. We need to manage that somehow. And we have information security, regulatory and legal, really important areas, especially in near time, I would say. Because we could use them as key drivers to establish information governance and ownership in practice. Use it. This is the best driver you have up to date, I would say. You don't even need to come up with a business case for it, because you will have a huge fine if you don't follow it. So, information is still an immature asset. I would say it's a damn important one. Time will make it a valid asset, even in accounting. Thank you.